Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kristen Spindler, Director of Incubator CTX and faculty member at Concordia University, Texas. We're happy to welcome you today to our Leadership Lunch series with Prashant Joshi. We've been trying during these COVID times to bring you different ways of learning since we're not meeting in person. Prashant is a mentor to Incubator CTX, and he's also an executive coach in leadership with a focus on mindfulness, which he's going to talk about today. And he has a background in computer science. So with that, we're going to start today with Prashant's presentation. He's going to walk us through that and also have some time for some stretching and some mindfulness practice. So stay tuned for that. And then after that, we'll have some time for some question and answer. So if you have questions, please put it in the chat. We've got Elizabeth Quintanilla, as well as Hannah Watson and Ben Balin. And we are all monitoring the chat for your questions. So we'll get to those at the end. And if there's other questions that we don't get to, we will get back to you with the answers. So again, welcome everybody and welcome to Prashant. And go ahead, Prashant, take it away.
Well, thank you, Kristen. I really appreciate it. Thanks for putting me on here. And just to quickly say something about this slide. So, you see a couple of logos here. I mean, the incubator logo is an important one. Thanks to that, I'm here in front of you. The two logos on the top, I mean, they are the ones that we have co-founded, one in 2000, one in 2016. And the logo on the left bottom is the startup that I'm advising as we speak. It's a wellness startup, Sukhi. Sukhi means happy. So, and Guru, as you may know, the word Guru is dispeller of darkness. So Gurukul means teacher's home. So, so this is, again, I'm in my Gurukul right now as we speak. And again, thanks for the opportunity here, Kristen and team. So let's get started. So let's see, what do we have here? So, folks, this is not my last slide. Typically, we have thank you as our last slide, and I wanted to make that as a kind of the beginning, because hope you agree, we don't say thank you enough. And this is kind of, again, part of the leadership 101 and mindfulness 101 is say thank you. So again, really sincere thank you to Kristen, the incubator, the team, and all of you that are joining, listening, and later on, I guess, watching the replay. So thank you in as many languages as I could find, and whatever resonates with you, but appreciate your time and presence here. Also, it's good to start with some humor. The word yoga, I think there's so many connotations to it, and people don't relate this yoga and leadership together. And what does it really mean? That's really how. So the good news is that it has gotten into our vocabulary, in our management leadership vocabulary. So now this cartoon says that thanks to yoga, I now gently stretch to conclusions versus jumping to them. So again, we still relate to yoga as stretching, and hopefully today will show that yoga is mindfulness and how this relates to your absolute leadership, whether you're at home, you're in a classroom, or you're in a boardroom. So hope you like the little humor there. So let's look at the agenda, what we want to accomplish in the next 55 minutes. I respect your time, so I want to finish on time. So this is a conversation about experiencing something, right? I mean, leadership, it's really about whatever you're doing, you're acting, you're experiencing. So I would like you to experience this centering and meditation to start with, so that it's not just a talk, but an experience of mindfulness that hopefully you will enjoy and can help you in the middle of the day. We'll then, of course, talk about some inspiration, some leadership that has inspired all of us, and the universal global names and their quotes. Science, I mean, it's important that, as Kristen mentioned, I'm a computer scientist by training, electrical engineer by training. It's good to show science so that this is not a mumbo jumbo. This is not a belief system that I'm saying, hey, believe in Prashant, believe in science, believe in yourself, and see what works for you. So I call it the science of leadership. And then these are the attributes that I've come up with over the past 20 years of the work. It's been published, it's been presented, the universal leadership attributes. And then how do you actually apply that, right? Yeah, it's great to have some acronyms, some names, some verbs, some phrases, but then how do you actually apply them if you're in a boardroom or a classroom or a homeroom? And my daughter corrected me. She's a counselor, a psychologist. She said, Dad, if you say homeroom, it's still a classroom. So I've added this living room. So this is about your home. If you're at home, you're in a classroom setting or in a boardroom setting, this is applicable to you. And then again, we are in a business world where outcomes matter. So I actually will share some outcomes, some numbers, and some mindful team building that we can incorporate. So again, ideas, creativity, innovation. When the incubator talks about innovation and impact. So hopefully today you'll see some innovative ideas and will have some impact on you. So key learnings and takeaways, and then some poetry and practice. Again, as your intuitive brain goes on, I think some eureka happens, some words come to you. So I've shared a poem I wrote earlier this year. I'll share that with you, and then we'll actually do some practice so that again we'll walk the walk and not just talk the talk. All right, so that's the idea. We'll have a live Q&A later, but feel free to just keep adding your questions to your chat. So with that, let's start with the centering. So here I'll just stop sharing for a minute. So if you need to, it doesn't matter. So sit or stand nice and tall wherever you are. I'm standing as we speak, as sitting has become a little bit of an occupational hazard these days. So for the next couple of minutes, sit or stand nice and tall, relaxed. Middle of the day, if you had your lunch, maybe a little sleepy, so we'll wake you up. So we call it ABCs, A for aware. So become aware of your body. Toes to your head. Feet firmly grounded. You're feeling your toes, your heels, your arches. Observe your shoulders, your neck. There may be some tension there. Just become aware. Your face. Sometimes we don't realize how much tension we build here between the eyebrows. So just become aware. Your jaw. So now that you're aware of your body, consciously relax it. And now B for breathing. Breathing is involuntary, it just happens. We're so busy, we forget to breathe. So take a nice deep breath. When you inhale, your belly is expanding, chest is expanding, shoulders are going back. You feel energized. When you exhale, either through the nose or through the mouth, shoulders go in, chest goes in, belly button goes in. You're exhaling and you're feeling relaxed. So inhale, energize, exhale to relax. And I say restore the rhythm of your breathing to restore the rhythm of your life. This is Life Management 101. Take charge of yourself by conscious regulation of breathing. And now become aware of your thoughts. We have about 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. A cluttered mind gives you a lot of sometimes headaches. So how do you slow yourself down? So breath is your best friend. So as you're breathing, you're aware of your thoughts, the wandering. You're not judging, you're not reacting, you're just observing. And slowly but surely, C for calm comes in. So that's the ABCs. Become aware of your body, your breath, your thoughts. Take some deep breaths and enjoy this C for calm. And I have a singing bowl with me, so I enjoy the sound here. Hope Zoom carries that sound. Focusing on the sound helps to calm down. And with that, if you close your eyes, you may open your eyes. And let's get back to the rest of the session. And feel free to please write your comments, how you felt. We do this with kids and they give us spontaneous answers. Oh, I felt so tranquil, so relaxed. Whatever that is, you may not have felt relaxed, that's okay. Whatever you felt, please kindly share in your chat window. So that's a little experience we had of being in the moment, being in the present. And how do we then go forward with it? So let's start with some inspiration. You see these leaders, these names are familiar, but you see the commonality of their message. They want to give the credit away. They want to take the blame. That's not what we see in our day-to-day life many times. So much finger pointing happens. So here Mandela is saying, father of the nation, really broke that whole apartheid. So it's better to lead from behind, especially when we're celebrating victory. So you make the team as, hey, your team is successful. And when there is a danger, you get in the front. So you lead by example there, taking the brunt of the bad news or whatever that is. Mahatma Gandhi, his line is, leadership my way is to lead by standing behind the people, not in front of them. So you see the commonality, the message is give the credit away, take the blame. It takes a lot of courage, and both are called the fathers of their nations, different times of life. So you see, hope that inspiration helps us to become an inspired leader in our day-to-day life, in whichever setting. And you already are. Sometimes, we just look at these famous quotes, but this applies to all of us, and we can learn from them. So the question is, why do we care? Hey, yeah, it's great. But first start with how our even actually inspiration works. So it so happens that inspired leaders inspire followers. So I don't know if you're a fan of Simon Sinek, but Simon Sinek has this TED talk. If you have not watched it, I would encourage you to watch it. It says how great leaders inspire action. So he starts with a why. What's the purpose? So we believe in the purpose because it resonates with you, and that's why you get into something. You may not like Martin Luther King, but you believe in that message because it resonates with you. So Martin Luther King, by the way, was a student of Gandhi, and Gandhi was a student of yoga. So it's really something that, again, it's in our brain, in our biology, that is how we act. We are human, we are emotional animals, right? And you're in a startup mode right now, or whatever function you have, there is selling that happens, there's buying that happens. We are all consumers. And as you know, buying and selling is emotional. I mean, we have the best product, but if you don't like the person you're dealing with, you may not buy from him or her. So it's very emotional. So that's why we have to be in charge of our emotions. So it's very important. On the negative side of it, fear, sadness, and anger, these three emotions rule us, unfortunately. Again, I mentioned about 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day. 80% of them or more are negative thoughts, and 90% are repeated. So if you're always in that fight or flight mode, the reptilian brain working, boy, we'll have some chronic anxiety, chronic fatigue. This is real. And then you cannot function. And you may pretend you're well, but you're not. And then something happens, a catastrophe happens, and then it's all afterthought to take care of ourselves. So this is all about prevention. So we have to care. So hope this makes sense. But again, let's talk about real life, right? Again, numbers matter. So rudeness is expensive, civility is not. And there's a study by this Professor Kristen Porath. Again, she has a TED talk from Georgetown University, and she talks about why it's actually good for business to be, to be respectful of your coworkers. And there was a study in 2013 where Cisco actually became aware, and they actually added this whole global workplace initiative. It was costing them $12 million a year because of rudeness. Could we lost customers? Could we lost employees, retention? So this is real. So rudeness and civility are not just something to be done at home as part of growing up or going to church or temple or wherever. This is all about business, making business sense. Illness is expensive, wellness is not. Again, we all know the healthcare costs spiraling. And the data shows about $300 billion is spent because of absenteeism, And burnout is now an official disease, by the way, labeled by WHO. And burnout costs somewhere from 125 billion to 190 billion in the workplace. So this is real. These are real numbers here. Lost productivity, absenteeism, retention. So all these are real issues. They're dealing with the way numbers do matter. $500 billion is a cost of lost productivity. Again, the studies are there. There's Gallup study. There is study from Eastern Kentucky. So again, this is all real data, and there's much more. So hope you have kind of made a case for, hey, this matters, that we don't want to be living in fear, anxiety, sadness, anger, and how do we take charge then? So let's look at the science a little bit here. Okay, neuroplasticity. You must have heard of that phrase. Again, this is something that brain as a muscle. Brain really can learn. And there's a famous line from 1949 by one Don Hebb. It says, neurons that fire together, they're wired together. So we make the connections. If you practice anger, yeah, you'll be angry. If you practice a little peace and laughter, yeah, you'll be a little peaceful and happy. So it's a learned behavior here, and it's a limbic brain that's in charge of our emotions. We so much focus on rational thoughts and thinking, but we forget the emotional part, which is who we are. We are emotional beings, and we don't want to be in the reptilian brain where we're always thinking of fight and flight. So we have a relaxation response with our limbic brain. We actually inspire ourselves, we inspire others. So this is again what science says. Different language that came about in 90s, emotional intelligence, EI, EQ. And if you look at the components of EI and EQ, again, it talks about self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. So this is not about soft skills. I mean, sometimes we label everything into soft skills and we really ignore it. And this is the unfortunate part when if you're driving business or top line growth and you say, this is all gooey stuff, mushy stuff, but this is how, and the real data showing that this is important. And then I'm tying this to this whole conversation of yoga. And these are my own acronym here is, what is yoga? It's your own great asset, YOGA. Your body is an asset, take care of it. Self-care. Mind is an asset, take care of it. Don't make it a liability. And then it becomes a liability for the company that you work for, the employees that you are leading and whatnot, right? It's really an escalation effect of that. But by definition, yoga about 2000 plus years ago was defined by one Patanjali. And Patanjali is the Einstein of yoga. And he says, calming the vibrations of the mind is yoga. And how do you do it? You do it through a proper posture, proper breathing, proper relaxation, meditation. So this whole becomes a recipe, a prescription towards being in charge of yourself. So you can take charge of others. So this is again, is that self-management tool that becomes self-transformation tool and with which you can transform others. As I mentioned, Gandhi was a student of yoga and he transformed, 1.2+ billion people into freedom without taking a sword in the hand. So you can impact change. And then the phrase now that's up in the vocabulary of everybody's mindfulness. It's come from so-called Buddhist background, but doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Buddha was a prince and he had a cluttered mind and he learned how to unclutter it. And the whole theme of mindfulness is about being in the present without judgment or reaction. So you see everything comes together. So as you have higher emotional intelligence, you have better leadership. That kind of equation comes along with the science sharing that. And then there's data that I'll share later. Hope this is making sense. So now we come to the attributes that I came up with a few years back. Again, this is published work that I was on Wall Street at Sun Microsystems, and I was conducting yoga sessions for sales management, for leadership. And I came, again, working with words, some heightened practice there. So a lot of bulbs are going off. So we all know how to spell leader, L-E-A-D-E-R. So this is what it became for me. L for level-headed. Hot-headed leadership, we all have experienced it. We sometimes have become ourselves one. And who does it hurt the most? It hurts you the most when you're angry all the time. And then, of course, you can imagine the ecosystem that you live in, what impact does it have? So being level-headed is a sustainable leadership attribute. Being efficient, again, was no-brainer, but efficient in the context of, hey, if I've been given 1 hour, and if I take 2 hours, I'm not being efficient. Also, am I in the present, or am I living in the past or the future, anxious? So being efficient is about, again, being in the present. Aware, this is a big word here, and leaders have to be aware, aware of that's where the empathy comes in. You're aware of someone else's issues. It's not just about business, about the person actually, right? So interestingly, we are dealing with diseases. We're not dealing with people, persons, or beings for that matter, whether it's a cat or a dog, your pets. So it's really about being aware. It's a leadership trait. It's an attribute that I think. And then daring, right? We don't want to be just popular leaders, but bold decisions we can take so that they make sense in that context. And how do you build courage, right? So again, opposite of fear is that self-confidence with that courage. So you can build it actually. Breathing, it has been shown that you can literally get rid of your anxiety with some conscious practice of breathing. So these are all yogic practices that I'm weaving them in here. These definitions of yoga from ancient texts of level-headed, evenness of mind is yoga, efficiency in action is yoga, and so on. So again, I don't want to overuse that word and say, oh, everything is yoga, but in the context of this, it's your mind. You take charge of it, and then it will function. And exemplary, again, no-brainer there, that leaders need to lead by example. So then they're more authentic. So authentic leadership, this comes back to. And then finally, the punchline is righteous. Do the right thing. Again, not just do the popular thing, but do the right thing, which may be hard, and hard becomes easy through practice. So again, it comes back to practice, practice, practice. So that's kind of these are the attributes that I came up with. The question is now, how do you apply them actually, right? What does it mean by being level-headed? It's okay to say it, but there's actually a function. You can actually do something about it. If anger is an issue, yeah, you can actually breathe and let go. Because the moment that's gone, have a grudge about over someone. You can just let go and move on. That moment is gone. And I give an example of Ice Age. I'm a fan of cartoons. I mean, I have 2 daughters who have now grown up, but watching Ice Age with them, even now, sometimes there's a character called Sloth, and he says to the lion, I guess, is, "Hey, I'm too lazy to be holding a grudge." And if you really think about it, wow. What a beautiful line, right? Sloth is lazy, but he wants to be lazy for holding a grudge. And that's really something that we need to learn to let go. So pick up the phone and call someone that you, are not friends with, so you can build that, be an ally. I mean, this is, again, being selfish also, and it's okay because you want to just create an ecosystem of friends and allies. Efficient, again, as I mentioned, it's about being in the present. You're most efficient about it versus going anxious about the future, lamenting about the past. Oh, why didn't I do that? I wish, I could have, should have, would have. That doesn't get you anywhere. So being efficient is about being in the present. And that's where, again, the mindfulness practices really come alive. Aware, this is, again, about open. And this comes back to what's happening in the world right now with all the prejudice and everything. And if you're not open, you cannot be leading a diverse community. I mean, now diversity and inclusion are really the departments now in companies that in startup world, as you grow and scale, you have to focus on diversity and inclusion. So being open, you're aware of everybody's needs and wants, and you're leading accordingly. Daring, as I mentioned, being bold. Again, it's simple, but sometimes simple is what we need, and that's why a 5-year-old can get it, and a $5 billion company CEO can get it. And that's the idea here, that this is applicable in a boardroom or a classroom. I've done team building for a middle school, a 15 people leadership team from principal to all the teachers. And I said, who's your customer? 1,400 students in middle school, 7th and 8th grade. So those are the customers. So if you're not smiley, if you're not level-headed, you're angry, what are they going to pick on, right? And then they come home and say, oh, Dad, that Miss XYZ or Mr. XYZ was very grumpy today. So they notice, they're aware. So we better be aware as leaders and do the right thing there. So Exemplary, again, talk about authenticity, do what you say. If I say, hey, exercise or do this, and if I don't do it, then I'm not authentic anymore. So I have to do it. And this is one science where you cannot just talk about it, you can actually practice. And in this COVID time, this is how you build your immune system, by actually doing something consciously so that you're relaxed, you're at ease, and then you are building your immune system. So we'll actually do some practices that will help us there as well. And do the right thing. Again, easier said than done, but that's why we need to practice. But these are the attributes and then how we actually apply them. So this is kind of my crux of the message here about being, what does it mean by leadership and yogic leadership? So it's really applying those principles into a day-to-day actions that you have. And what kind of outcomes can we expect out of this, right? At the end of the day, we say, hey, show me the money. What are the outcomes here? And it is proven, and the numbers show it, as I'll show, that the higher emotional intelligence gives you better leadership, and yoga, mindfulness are really the tools of those. So what does higher emotional intelligence give you? This is a staggering number. There's some Gallup study and Berkeley study, 400% higher retention. So those leaders who have higher EQ, they can retain their people because they want to work for that particular boss or leader or an organization versus leaving. So, and retention, as you know, is a big part of, so much cost to the organization when there's higher attrition there. So this is a real number. 58% of the success factor. If you are someone with a high emotional intelligence, that skill set occupies in your tool bag 58% of weightage. So much higher weightage than other skills. We have so much focus on high IQ and this and that, but I think it turns out to be EI as a really high weightage there. 90% top performance. Those with high EI with the same IQ, 90% of them are top performance, so with high EI. So again, these are real numbers from studies, so this is actually a Pepsi study that they've done, internal study, shows those managers, those leaders who are higher EI, they actually achieved their targets, overachieved their targets by 15 to 20% revenue targets in their sales management or whatever function they were in. So these are real numbers. This is again a number about $29,000 higher earnings an employee can have with a better training in a better higher EI. So, and then again, an intangible one is, when you have a happier boardroom, you come home, you feel happy. Then your family says, oh, what happened? So the happiness is contagious. It's a beautiful thing. So you can actually have the happier boardroom, happier classroom, happier living rooms and bedrooms, and basically the whole ecosystem is happy. I mean, that's kind of our intent. So these are, I'm showing some outcomes here, tangibles and intangibles, but this is where we want to get to with this whole talk of mindfulness and yogic leadership. And then, as you know, at the end of the day, leadership, I mean, if you're a leader, your success depends on your team success. So I just want to make sure, again, we're okay on time here. So yeah, we are halfway here. So successful teams that make up a successful leader. And then in this context of mindfulness, I've just come up with these words for team, perceiving leader to be this, as well as team itself having these characteristics. So the team better be trusting a leader. They have empathy. The leader has empathy, leader has earned the trust, leader is accountable, and he's motivated. And similarly, the teams are motivated. So let's see. Again, we'll get to the questions unless there is something. Feel free, Christine, to say if I need to stop somewhere. So this is kind of one mindful definition of team and its trusted leader. So and if the team is successful, then you actually basically are successful as a leader. And then I'm thinking of some team building ideas here. So let's see. So this is not my line, but I heard it somewhere, I read it somewhere. illness starts with I, wellness starts with we. Today is a Wednesday, so I call it a Wellness Wednesday. So it's interesting, isn't it? The team, there's no I there. It's all about we. So how do you build that team in a mindful way? So I have some suggestions, ideas, see if they work for you. Mondays, as you know, we all dread Mondays. So how about we have mindful Monday meals? Maybe that's a good way to, or any stress you have, you just mindfully eat, build some team that way, team building, one activity that I can think of. Wellness Wednesday walks, again, playing with the words here, but today is a Wellness Wednesday. And as I said, we sit for too long. You can just walk as a team, mindful walking, single tasking, not looking at your phone, which is a disease of its own. We constantly look at our phones. So just mindful single tasking, whether it's eating or walking. So this is an idea that you can incorporate in your life, your companies and your environments. And this is compassionate camaraderie. And we've done it as the yoga school that my wife actually owns and runs and I support. We have done this camaraderie building even virtually, and it works, does wonders, because we are so much about talking about ourselves. When we talk to someone else more compassionately, beautiful things happen. Personalities change, they transform. So these are some ideas of team building. All right, hope they make sense to you. So with that, we will come to some key learning. This is my own gray hair, 25 years talking here. So this is not any study I'm sharing. See these words, again, I teach kids, so making it simple is something part of my way of working. So we talk about soft versus hard, strong versus weak. And we think, oh, hard. We even have these phrases, hard-nosed, soft-spoken. So what I say is soft is strong, hard is weak. And this is kind of maybe counterintuitive, but if you think of it, if you're more flexible, you'll have less broken bones in your body. It's just a very personal physical example. But soft-spoken, I mean, if you're brash, really loud, and you cannot be tolerated for too long. So this is the learning of my own life. So good to be soft. People think that, oh, you have to be brash and using all the F words every second. No, you can be soft and you can still accomplish beautiful things. Serving leads to selling. I mean, I was on Wall Street selling to JP Morgan, $30 million account. Vegetarian by choice. I married a vegetarian 29 years back. So, but I was really serving the customer consciously. I had no experience of Wall Street, and I was serving the customer, optimizing their requests, hardware, software, Sun Microsystems, all the height of .com boom, and they were buying. They loved the way we were dealing with. I was in pre-sales, so it really came up with this line: is there's no selling without serving. And this is so true that it's not an Armani suit is not going to sell, but it's really your attitude towards the customer, knowing the customer, KYC, know your customer. So it comes back to how do you serve, and that becomes a tool for selling. So with all your startups and your, kind of wanting to get some business, try these approaches. Public recognition, private review. This was my first team meeting in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. I said, if you want to say something nice. Remember Thumper in Bambi movie? Public recognition, yeah. But if you want to say something not nice, well, give it privately. Otherwise, public humiliation is how sometimes you feel, oh, that leader really gave it to him or her. And sometimes that kind of rudeness is tolerated, is sometimes even kind of promoted as a leadership trait. So again, I'm just sharing my learnings here. Have passion and compassion. This was my line when I got promoted in my first promotion at a regional level, $200 million business. And I said, fear and intimidation, that's the old-fashioned way. For the new millennium, we need passion and compassion. Not just passion, you may become dry, but compassion. So compassion is empathy plus an action becomes compassion. So these are my learnings. And then this is the line I've been using is be selfish to be selfless. If you'll do something good in the society, better take care of yourself first. Be strong. Otherwise, you're a mess, and then you're trying to take care of something else. So you better be in charge. That's what I mean by being selfish to be selfless. So that's kind of my little learning. And then as we look at the takeaways from this short presentation and putting the storyline together of why this matters, what is the science, what I see here and I hope you see is science of leadership shows the importance of emotional intelligence. It's not just a theory put out in 90s. This is from ancient times, examples from religion, from philosophy, from real world, that this is how actually sustainable leadership can be accomplished. When we are self-aware, you're self-regulated, you have empathy, you have motivation, you have social skills. That's kind of the thing. And again, I'm trying to bring the vocabularies together. I don't want yoga to be labeled as bending yourself like a pretzel. Oh, that's not for me. I'm not flexible. No, this is a science of living, science of just mindfulness. So this is all one and the same. So I'm saying yoga is mindfulness. And I've said that in conferences where people have come from different backgrounds and they've been using vocabulary of all kinds. And people came to me and thanked me saying, hey, thank you for correcting. So it's a tool to build emotional intelligence. It's a tool to become self-masters, basically. Mastery over yourself so you can then take charge of others. So universal attributes, you saw those LEADER, they're applicable in all aspects of life. So that's one takeaway, hopefully you see there. Happier outcomes, we saw some tangible and intangible outcomes there. And then serving leads to success. So if you really build an equation, A equals B, B equals C, that's why A is equals to C. So I said serving is how you sell. Well, sell is how you succeed in a way that you actually revenues matter. So there's one level of success there. So serving does lead to success. It's not just something to be done for charity or as volunteerism. This can be in real life. So altruism is something, it comes back to that. You can be altruistic in a capitalistic society through these tools and modalities. So, and easier said than done. That's why practice matters, and we are going to practice before we wind down here. So, but before we get to practice, there's a little poetry that I'm showing the intuitive part of my brain, the limbic part of brain. So I write a little bit of poetry, again, amateur poetry. It's on the website, gurukulyoga.com. So if I may read it here, this is written at the beginning of 2020. It has turned out to be an interesting half year so far. But what I'm just going to read it out. It says, 2020 is a symbol of clarity of vision and add passion and compassion in every action. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, so did Newton proclaim. Time to prove Newton wrong as we curb our reaction to lead a life of highest acclaim. So we need to curb our reaction. So action versus reaction. This is my 94-year-old teacher who's still alive, is got a Medal of Honor from the government of India. Says, disuse, misuse, overuse is at the root of our suffering. Time to fix it in 2020 with a mindful practice of even use as our offering. So a little rhyme there with suffering and offering, but it's the mindful even use. So disuse, misuse, yeah? If I play tennis too much, if I play golf too much, well, I may be overusing my shoulder, overusing my hip. So how do we do even use? So you have to counter that action. This works. If I talk too much, I better listen also. So it's that even use. That's kind of the context here of body, mind is your own great asset. Again, the yoga context here. Body, mind is your own great asset. Even use makes its value grow with an open mindset. So 2020 is here. So let's welcome it with gratitude. Amazing outcome is guaranteed with an abundance of positive attitude. So that's a little poetry. Thanks for tolerating it. Coach P is the title that kids gave to me on a tennis court when I was teaching yoga back in 2007 in New Jersey. So I carry that title proudly, but that's kind of a little thing that came out to inspire myself and who was willing to read it and listen to it. So with that, I'm going to get into a little bit of practice mode. So let me take a pause here. How's it going so far? Are we still there? Let's see. Let me just quickly take a look at some. How can we implement happy at work? How can we? Okay, great. Absolutely, great question. So we'll get there. So that's why this practice is important. So folks, you're welcome to show yourself right now. I'm going to get this jacket out of here. So I'm standing as we speak. So I'm going to, so whether you can see me well or not, doesn't matter. So we call this mindful practice. As you can see the icon on the right, there's a bit of a self-huggy there. This is our own little phrase called self-huggy. So let's see. So if you're sitting, welcome to just sit. If you feel like standing up, feel free to stand up. I've been standing, by the way, for the past hour or so. As I said, this is just my little own pledge. So what are we going to do? We're going to become friends of yoga. And what does that mean? As we said, yoga is about self-management. So this is about ourselves and how do we become friends with ourselves? That means your 206 bones work for you. Your 350 plus muscles and joints, they work for you. So move the body, steady the mind. That's this practice for now. So right now you've been sitting, so just nothing in your hands. You don't need anything, no gadgets. Just enjoy moving. Okay, move the body, steady the mind. So you're breathing, you're in the present, smiling. Whether you mean to smile or not, doesn't matter, just move. Remember those joints, wrists, overused wrists, your elbows, shake off. Big arm swings, some shoulders, open up. If you have a neighbor there, be kind to your neighbor, so you're not bumping into them. Just open up. Don't forget to breathe, don't forget to smile. And this is, by the way, a lung opener, a heart opener. Sadness can be removed by this simple activity. Lungs can be opened, so your immune system becomes stronger. Your lungs are about 6 liters of lung capacity, and we hardly use it, fractional of it. So we have just done that. Now give yourself a pat on the back, see if you can. And if it helps, I may stop sharing. I don't know if I'm in a speaker view or whichever you are able to change, but give yourself a pat on the back and see if you can say hello from the other side. Again, don't overdo it. If you cannot, that's okay. You may or may not be seeing this. So what is it doing? It's doing lymphatic drain. You know, we need to stretch, not just for the muscle sake, but for your lymphatic system sake. So open up and then exhale. Just exhale, belly in, breath out, belly in, breath out. Okay, whatever, you do 1 or 2. And we have a line called 20 is plenty. You can do 20 at a time, that's great. The other side may go up a bit differently, that's okay. Again, chin is up. And relax. And now give yourself a nice big hug. And we ask this trick question, you can answer that in the chat if you would like. Who's your best friend? I won't spill the beans right now. Give yourself a hug on both sides. Take care of yourself. Self-care, self-love, so important. So as part of your whole kindness, love, kindness, empathy, compassion, first give it to yourself, then to others. So be selfish to be selfless. Okay, that was just a little practice of moving the upper body there. Now tippy toes all the way, tippy toes, reach the toes if you can. And also tippy heels. We hardly do tippy heels. We do tippy toes. You stand on your toes, now stand on your heels. What are we doing there? Your calves. Calf is called a second heart. Again, it's a lymphatic drain. Thrombosis is one of the real issues. My nephew is in the ICU in Pennsylvania at Lehigh Valley Hospital. He says a lot of the COVID patients have this thrombosis, blood clots. So they give them blood thinners and whatnot, but these simple lymphatic, activities, lymphatic drain activities can help. So tippy toes, tippy heels. Do a few times. Shake, shake, shake. Hope this is helping. Relax. So we move the body again that way. We can take, in the longer session, we'll take care of the hips, we'll take care of the knees, the ankles, so much to do, just a little awareness, awareful body movement. With that, your breath is flowing, your circulation is improving, your heart is opening, and a transformation is happening slowly but surely. All right, so let me just go back to sharing that. All right. So we've just moved the body, the steady mind. Now this is a new asana. Asana means posture, if you have, know the vocabulary. So we all have this gadget. It's a drug actually, called a cell phone. We use it. So mobile, we're overusing this mobile, right? Talk about disuse, misuse, overuse. So this is our mobile asana. We are always like this. So what is knee mobile asana? Knee means negate. So let's do it. Again, if I might go back and forth between sharing and non-sharing, but now we have been using this. Our cervical vertebrae are being impacted. Open up. Take a deep breath in. Open up. See how beautiful that feels. Your neck is extended. Again, this is our mobile mode. And now knee mobile mode. And relax. One more time. Too much of this. And now open up. Again, embracing, showing your openness, the level-headed, aware, we are practicing those attributes in a way. All right. So that was our little new asana. This talk about innovation. So this is our innovation, that we have created a new posture that you can practice, so that this drug is not overtaking your life, but you are in charge of when to use it, when not to use it. All right. So this 1 hour hopefully is a good way of single tasking if you are not using it. I'm not being judgmental. All right. So hope this is helping. We're coming to a home stretch. Okay. Again, hopefully you've seen exhalation because of relaxation. When we exhale, you feel relaxed. And what is laughter all about at the end of the day? Think about it. Why is it the best medicine? We are exhaling, you're feeling relaxed, endorphins are flowing. Okay, your happiness hormones are flowing. Even artificial laughter has the same effect. So I'll put everybody on the spot here. Again, you're all muted, you're not showing yourself, that's okay. But in your own privacy of your comfortable abode, do this. You're on Broadway, you're asked to laugh out loud, and I'm going to make a fool of myself by doing it and showing it. But take a deep breath in. So artificial laughter, even the most grumpiest person can sometimes start giggling and chuckling with this feeling, seeing the sense of laughter. So try it, practice it. Again, I mentioned before we started, we adults laugh about 4 times a day. Children laugh about 400 times a day. So we have too much baggage here. So let's declutter, let's let go and laugh out loud. Belly laughter, by the way, sustainable laughter. I do this with kiddos. Say, hey, give me 10 seconds of laughter. And then try to get away from it. No, I said, I have a timer here. So try it. If you want one more demonstration, take a deep breath in. Well, with that, we come to a little silence time. We started with centering. We'll end with a little silence. Hope this has been helpful for you. And let me just do a little centering again with a singing bowl. We move the body, steady the mind. We practice this new posture called knee mobile asana, opened up without the gadget, the drug. We exhale to let go. Now let's enjoy this whole mindful state of the state. Your body at ease, breath is steady, mind at ease. You're in charge of yourself, so you can take care of others as a servant leader. Happy thoughts. With every breath, every inhalation, there is gratitude. With every exhalation, there's let go. All the toxicity, negativity, those negative emotions, just let go. You're in the present, safe. enjoy the sound of a singing bowl. Just enjoy. And one more. Hope the ABCs have worked for you, the awareness, the breathing, the calmness. And we're ready to take care of the rest of the day, rest of the week. So we are at the end of our session here. I thank you again for your time, for allowing me to indulge and be here for 1 hour and share Serve, Lead, Succeed the Yogic way. Let me look at the chat session. Christina.
Sure. Prashant, thank you so much. That was really wonderful. I mean, I learned a lot. I hope that everybody watching it did as well. And I love all your advice too about the new asanas of not having your cell phone with you all the time, because I have found that particularly working at home, because my phone is always telling me how much my screen time has increased or decreased every day. And that's something definitely to be aware of. So that was one thing that I hadn't thought about so much, and really appreciate that, as well as the laughter. So, so thank you. We have a couple questions.
Yes.
So I'd love to take a few moments to answer some of those. One question, which I thought was a good one from our audience, is how can we develop EQ, EI if we're not born with it?
Yeah, very good question. And that's the actually misconception that, oh, we are born with this. Yeah, there are some traits that we are born with. Maybe it's more true on the IQ side than the EQ side. This is the good news. That's why I showed the neuroplasticity. This is a learned skill like anything else. You've learned to bicycle. You've learned to, whatever, coding. We are learning to be better leaders through this emotional intelligence tool, self-awareness. I mean, we are so not aware that we are hungry and we just keep working. Then we have a headache. We take a pill. We go into a vicious cycle. So again, just to reiterate, this is a learned skill. It's a muscle that we are stretching, relaxing, twisting. So brain is, able to learn. So this is neuroplasticity. This is science. This is not a skill that you're born with, that someone are. So this can be developed. And that's why this is important that the HRs of the world pay more attention to it. You're not just picking and choosing, oh, he or she is born that way. So hope that helps you, that this is not about being born with it, but cultivating, developing this skill set. And that's why it needs to be given more importance in our overall onboarding, training, and skill building. Hope that helps.
Great. And another question, I know at Incubator, we've done these Wednesday walkabouts where we walk around in the preserve with our environmental sciences department and some of our entrepreneurs and whoever else likes to come. But what other ideas do you have about some practices where we can implement happy at work?
Yeah, so I mentioned about this compassionate camaraderie, right? So typically, if you have a little bit of an icebreaker sometimes, and you say, hey, introduce yourselves. Instead, try to have a little huddle and get to know some people that you have never, talked to. Sometimes we are in our own comfort zone. We sit with someone that we know. So have this, habit of talking to someone that you don't know, and then introduce that person. So compassionate camaraderie is, you're not introducing yourself, you're introducing someone else. So that means you're becoming a better listener. You have empathy towards that person's strengths and whatnot. And then have the courage of talking about your own growth areas. Hey, my bad, I'm not good at listening. I better learn to listen more. So whatever that is, our own growth area. Remember, we do SWOT analysis. So you can do this strength analysis or action as a compassionate camaraderie building. So this is one idea that I'll share. laughter is another, again, you can definitely practice that as a lull time thing. So you can really pick and choose a time of the day where there's least productivity, and you can pick an activity. I'm a script writer for my stand-up comedies that I've done over the years in the community with my own daughters. So do a little stand-up comedy act or something that, again, you have to bring that inner child out of you, right? So that you're not just a uptight this. So a lot of ideas, I'm just sharing a few here that you can do. Walking, that's awesome, being in the nature. But meals, as I said, are very popular. So you can do those mindful eating and invite me. We'll invent some more, and we'll bring those to you. So.
Wonderful. Well, Prashant, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your wisdom with us. It was really fantastic. Really appreciate everything that you've shared with us. And we've had some comments from the attendees too, that they really enjoyed it and loved your laugh in particular. So
awesome.
even if people were hidden with their icons, I know I, for one, really enjoyed that, and hopefully we all did. So
that's all right. Okay, appreciate it again. Thank you, and be safe, be well.
Yes, and I'd like to also thank our incubator team, Hannah Watson and Ben Balin, who recently graduated, and Elizabeth Quintanilla. So they've all been helping behind the scenes. We do. We wish you all good health. Stay safe. And again, thank you, Prashant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and congratulations to all the graduates. Thank you.
Okay.
Take care. Bye.
Yep. Bye-bye.